What's good, folks? Welcome to this special edition of Disguised Coverage, brought to you, of course, by the best pizza in Buffalo, New York, and that is One Pie Pizza. Find the online menu in the episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you are listening to this show on. What we are going to do in this special edition of Disguised Coverage is dive into the top 5 plays from the Buffalo Bills' Week 2 victory versus the Miami Dolphins from the perspective of what the plays were schematically, why they worked. Also being factored in will be situational and individual player elements. This is something I wanted to do for this season and incorporate into the show. So if you like this content, let me know on Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro 2_ANT, or drop a comment here on YouTube letting me know that this is something you want to see more of going forward. Also, let me know if this is something you would like to see drop the day after Bills games, or if I should just incorporate it into the back end of the live weekly show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Any and all pieces of feedback are greatly appreciated as we start in fresh on this 2024 season. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. We're going to dive right into the tape with the number 5 play. This is the Josh Allen to Ty Johnson completion for 33 yards from the second quarter. There's a bit of situational value here for me with this one. The score right now at this point in the game is 10-7 Bills. It is 3rd and 12, as we have shown up there. If the Bills don't convert here, or if this pass is incomplete, you're looking at roughly a 52-yard kick. Tyler Bass has been a bit inconsistent this season, and even dating back towards the end of last season, to say the least. So if you don't get the completion here, are you attempting that 52-yard field goal? You probably are. If he misses it, Miami's starting their next drive with really good field position. They're only down 3. Does the momentum pendulum start to swing a little bit more in their favor? So some situational value here on this play. Also, good individual play from Josh Allen on this one. Ty Johnson also from Spencer Brown on this one, which I'm going to show you from the end zone angle in a bit. But diving into just what this play is initially, I have highlighted on the screen Kader Kohou down here, Jordan Poyer, former Buffalo Bill, up here, and then Javon Holland on the back end. And what the Dolphins are showing pre-snap is a single high alignment, but what they're going to do post-snap is shift into a cover 2 look, something they did against the Jaguars on several occasions in Week 1, something that the Bills did a bit in Week 1 against the Cardinals, and something that is also a bit of a trend going across the league, getting into cover 2 and Tampa 2 variations in non-traditional ways. And this actually falls a bit into that, because you're going to get Kader Kohou, who is a corner, works in the slot, can work outside. You're going to get him dropping as a deep half player. You're going to get Javon Holland shifting over here to cover the deep half here. And then you're going to get Jordan Poyer dropping into the middle hook as that potential Tampa player. I'm calling it cover 2 based on how the route distribution played out and Poyer's depth, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Maybe if someone goes vertical, he runs that pole and he is that true Tampa player. But for now, just based on how the route distribution plays out, I'm calling it cover 2. So let's look at it. Here we go. Khalil Shakir goes in motion, which is a critical element that we're going to talk about. Okay, and they just wanted to show that transition. We showed what the pre-snap elements look like. Here's Javon Holland now over here, Kader Kohou over here, and then Jordan Poyer. Again, you see where Poyer's sitting, got good depth. If it's just regular cover 2, he's playing the sticks. That's not a straight line, but who cares? Maybe if Kincaid pushes up vertical, or if there was a vertical element come from this way, maybe we see Poyer turn and run that pole and carry things upfield. But again, he's just sitting there. So I wanted to show you that rotation. Also wanted to talk about what Josh Allen talked about after the game in relation to this play when he was asked about it. So he said he was feeling zone after motioning Shakir across the formation. And then he saw the deep safety jumping something underneath, which is what led him to the throw to Ty Johnson. So here's Khalil Shakir already starting to move a little bit. And if you notice, when he goes in motion, nobody goes with him. So we're getting a zone indicator from the defense. Let's let it play through. Josh Allen gets out the front door because of Spencer Brown's block, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Now, this is a nice job here from Ty Johnson. He sees Jalen Ramsey squatting on this route, and he's going to take a peek inside, and he's also going to see the action up here and potentially the flash coming up from Holland. So this is a nice job from Ty Johnson, getting a feel for space and understanding where the green grass is and making himself available to Josh Allen. So keep your eyes here. There's Ty Johnson. Keep your eyes on Ty going forward. Gets inside Ramsey. That's when he starts to turn. So he's going to see Holland jump. He sees the action up there, and he just goes to the green grass, knowing that it's cover 2. That space is vacated because Holland came flying up. It's a really good job from Ty Johnson. Let's go to the end zone angle. Got Spencer Brown highlighted here. He's going to end up going against Jalen Phillips, who is a good edge rusher from the Miami Dolphins. And if you notice, as Phillips attacks, he's going to get really into Spencer Brown with his inside arm. It's using that long arm, but he's leaning heavily on it. All his leverage is in that arm that he's using against Spencer Brown. And watch Spencer Brown just chop him down right at the elbow. Phillips goes down. Spencer Brown stays on top of him. That allows Josh Allen to get out the front door. This is a nice snatch trap from Spencer Brown, something he's starting to incorporate more into his game. Not the complete cleanest snatch trap because he doesn't disconnect Phillips's hand from his shoulder pads, but it gets the job done. Phillips goes down. Allen's able to escape out the front door. And then this is where we see that rollout element. There's Holland right here at the bottom of the screen coming into view because he is reacting to Dalton Kincaid coming across here. And Allen fires a dot to Ty Johnson. Puts it right on him. So situationally important, good individual play elements from Allen, Brown, and Ty Johnson. That's what makes this play the number 5 top play from this game. Also, one last call out here. As Allen gets into the scramble drill, wanted to show some of the gravity that Dalton Kincaid carries with him a little bit. So here's Dalton Kincaid here. And again, we showed Holland reacting to it. Now, maybe Holland's going to make this play anyway, which makes a lot of sense. Allen scrambling to his right. You're thinking, okay, you know where the sticks are if you're Holland. He's going to scramble to his right. Kincaid's coming open. So Holland is reacting to Kincaid, but it's a good job by Kincaid finding space as well, making himself available. Kincaid makes himself available. If Holland instead stayed deep to cover for Ty Johnson, Kincaid is open here in the intermediate. Allen can put it on him, and maybe Kincaid gets upfield and gets the first down there. So it's a good job from Kincaid getting himself open, finding space in the scramble drill, making himself available by getting to green grass. And then that is what helps draw Javon Holland up, which leads to Ty Johnson being able to get behind him and then make the play downfield. Really nice job there. Number 4, I kind of cheated for number 4. So number 4 is several Von Miller rushes. And I wanted to highlight these just because of what he means to this defense. We've talked about what Greg Rousseau continuing to ascend would mean to this defense. But if Von Miller can continue to get back to that pre-injury Von Miller Bills form, it means a lot for this defense, and it opens up so much. And through the first 2 weeks, the juice looks there, the bend looks there. It's been really, really encouraging to see how he's operated these first 2 weeks. So I just wanted to show several snaps. Spin move to start here. Watch Von get upfield, and notice just how tight and fluid the spin is. Whoops, Austin Jackson. Again, Austin Jackson isn't the best right tackle. Von owned him in this game. Just some stats for Von Miller in this game against Austin Jackson. Von Miller generated all 4 pressures and a sack on 14 pass rush matchups against Dolphins right tackle Austin Jackson. Every one of his pressures got to the QB in under 2.5 seconds, and Miller's 2.10 second average time to pressure is his fastest in a game since 2021. That data was presented by Next Gen Stats, and this play is an example of it here with how quickly he gets into the backfield. Watch him get upfield. It's that get off, the juice, and then he sees Austin Jackson throw those hands. Spins back inside. And again, it's the tightness. It's the fluidity in the spin. There's no wasted movement. He's not getting out of control. He's able to plant, spin, get upfield, and bear down onto it. What's also nice, the Bills defensive line coaches teach their edges to read that set line of the offensive tackle. So seeing where that offensive tackle drops, and if you're going to continue rushing outside, if you're going to go through the chest of that man, or if you're going to pivot and attack inside. And you can see on this one, Von reads the set of Austin Jackson and how he flies out there. And so Von just plants, tight fluid spin back inside, pressures Tua. Really good job. And again, continuing to show encouraging flashes. Another one here from Von, also against Austin Jackson. Let's watch him on this one. Whoop. Just a quick little slip. I'm going to replay it a couple more times. This one is all about the get off and then the chop and the swipe that he uses to turn the corner. So watch the get off, the speed and the juice on the snap. He's getting upfield. Now watch him lean a little bit with that inside hand to get first touch. Watch the contact right here. So that's Austin Jackson's outside hand on Von. Watch what Von does with his left hand. Just chops it right down. Chops it, swipes it. That's what causes Jackson to lunge forward and lose his momentum. And Von just continues to bear down, forces an early throw. Skylar Thompson sails it. Good coverage there by Damar Hamlin, but this incompletion, again, kudos to the coverage working in tandem with the pass rush, but Von Miller does a heck of a job here forcing that incompletion by turning the corner. Last one here from Von. Also have AJ Epinesa highlighted on this play, which we're going to talk about. We'll talk about Von first. Another one for him with that get off and then flashing his hands, almost kind of like a ghost rush a little bit, and then turning the corner. This one is about get off and rush angle and some hand usage. Boom. So fluid, so quick. In the blink of an eye, you watch him throw those hands and turn the corner. A little bit of an opposite effect here versus that first rush where he spun back inside. He sees Austin Jackson getting a little more perpendicular to him here, so throws his hands. Jackson tries to punch those off, but he stops his feet a little bit. And Von has such a great rush angle, like I mentioned. Watch him how he's able to flatten, and he doesn't get pushed far up here. Instead, he just turns this corner completely and bears down on Skylar Thompson for the sack. Really nice job by Von. Again, get off, flash the hands, rush angle. Also, what I wanted to mention, and I highlighted, AJ Epinesa, really nice spin move from him inside. Reduce down, gets a one-on-one matchup against the right guard, whoops him with that spin. Really nice play from AJ Epinesa in tandem with Von Miller. The next play we're going to go over, number 3, is Jamarcus Ingram's pick 6. Some situational elements in this one, but a lot of what attracted me to this play was the schematics of it and the team defense that we saw on this play. So this is on a 3rd and 5 with 9 minutes, 37 seconds left in the third quarter. The score at this point is 24-10. This play, I think, really was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. This one puts the Bills up 31-10, really starts to put the pressure on Miami even more so. The Bills look good going into the half. There's pressure on Miami coming out of it. You get this pick 6 on a play where Tua is not able to get the ball out of bounds on the throwaway, and it's just very demoralizing, a really big gut punch to Miami. So the situational elements are important here. Also, the more niche down situational element, this is a big play on a 3rd down, which is nice as well. But the schematic elements are really what attracted me to it. So this is just cover 3 buzz from the Buffalo Bills, and I highlighted these 4 players here because of their pre-snap communication. We've got Damar Hamlin back here. He's going to end up being that buzz safety who's going to drop into the hook curl. We've got Balin Spector here, who is in for Terrell Bernard after he suffered that pec injury. We've got Cam Lewis here, who's in for Taron Johnson because of the forearm injury he suffered in week 1. And then we've got Rasul Douglas down here as your outside corner to the bottom. And just watch all 4 of these guys. Watch the communication. Spector is doing his best Terrell Bernard air traffic controller impression here and talking about what's going on. Douglas is looking back here. He and Hamlin are communicating with one another. They're talking. Spector's continuing to motion his hands. And then you see Cam Lewis. Cam Lewis starts to drop out once he sees the motion. But then we get the check from Tua. We get the alert. Now watch Cam Lewis. Cam Lewis comes out here and lines up directly over Jalen Waddle. So because this is cover 3, you're just going to get Cam Lewis responsible for this flat out here. That's all this is. You're going to get flat responsibility. It's regular, nothing crazy, simple cover 3 buzz. This is also something that the Philadelphia Eagles did last year against the Buffalo Bills in their game. They took Kevin Byard on a snap like this of cover 3. Kevin Byard, one of their safeties at the time, they lined him up over Stephon Diggs, and then they just played cover 3, but it gave them an immediate kind of cloud effect in terms of taking away Stephon Diggs initially. And that's the effect that you get on this play here against Tua, because on the snap, Tua's eyes immediately go to Jalen Waddle. He's already looking towards Waddle, but because Lewis is on him from the jump, he's got to go elsewhere. Now, again, Lewis is just dropping to his flat responsibility, but because he's already present on Waddle, that takes away a potential quick throw or a potential quick hitter that Tua loves to hit to Waddle and to Hill. So because Tua has to go away from Jalen Waddle, he then puts his eyes to Tyreek Hill, but Balin Spector, watch Balin Spector here, what he does post-snap. Spector gets over to Tyreek Hill quickly, squeezes him a little bit, shades over to him initially. He reacts to that number 3, which is going to, he's got to react to that in general just because Hamlin's coming down to fill this space. So Spector is going this way to fill the hook curl over here. But watch him get there, and his presence influences Tua because after Tua goes to Waddle, he looks to Hill. But then he sees Spector there. So he's like, okay, Let me potentially go to my number 3. And by the time he does that, the pressure gets home. And then Tua's unable to get the ball out of bounds. Jamarcus Ingram makes a good play, and we get a pick 6. Watch it from the end zone angle. From this angle, I want you guys to focus on Tua's eyes, and then also the game up front that Ed Oliver and Von Miller run, which helps get some pressure in addition to what happens on the left side. So if you notice, we're going to get this little exit stunt here. It's just an end tackle stunt. You're going to get Von Miller spiking inside. Ed Oliver loops around. There's the spike from Von. Good, pretty good tight loop from Ed, hugging Austin Jackson there. And then as he takes that loop, doesn't get too far upfield, instead takes that loop and then takes a good angle right down on Tua, helps pressure him. And then also on the other side, I don't think the other side, this ends up playing out a little bit like a two-man game. Groot drives his man, and then Epinesa plays off that and comes free. I don't think this was by design. I think this is just how the play flowed because Teron Armstead is out at this point and Groot just walks his man back into the backfield. So if you focus on that left side, you can see AJ Epinesa chopping at the inside punch from the left guard, swims over, and then again, Groot is just driving his man, and so Epinesa continues his path. At the end of the day, good pressure up front. Good design on the right side of the line between Von and Ed. If this is the design over here, it's awesome. If not, it's still awesome because it's a good in-the-moment adjustment between Epinesa and Groot. And then let's focus on Tua's eyes on this play. So here's the ball. It's snapped. Let's go back. I know the camera is right where his head is. There's his eyes. He's looking towards Waddle. But Cam Lewis is there. Can't even see Cam Lewis on screen. But we know he's there. There's Cam Lewis. There he is a little bit. So Tua looked over there. That's not available. So where does he go? His eyes go to Tyreek Hill. But he sees Spectre right on him there. Also knows that DeMar Hamlin is going to be the guy inside here. So maybe he's thinking, okay, I don't want to squeeze this in. I don't want to potentially make that throw. So he goes from 1 at Waddle to 2 to Hill. Now he's looking to go to number 3. But by the time he goes to 3, that's where the pressure comes in. And again, tries to fling it. And we get a pick 6 for Jamarcus Ingram. And this is what so many people have talked about for years with Tua, getting him off his first read. If you can get him to go from 1 to 2, your odds of success increase. If you can get him from go from 2 to 3, your odds of success increase even further. Now, the next player we're going to get into is the James Cook 49-yard touchdown run. But before we get into that, I want to dive into some previous elements that happened earlier in the game and tie in one from the game against Arizona. So this is earlier in the game for the Buffalo Bills before the touchdown run. We get this tight little bunch grouping over here, and we're going to get a jet motion across from Mac Hollins, and just watch how Miami attacks this. Ramsey's already keying in on it. He's going to blitz. And Cook actually does a good job of shaking free of that and managing to get forward for some yards, I should say. Watch it from the end zone angle. You're going to watch the action from Sealer and from Chop Robinson. Get a little bit of some slanting going on there, and then you get the blitz from Ramsey off the corner. Now, this could have been a reaction to the motion, or it could have just been the call pre-snap, and this happened to be the right call at the right time for the Dolphins, and it helped blow up that mid-zone run for the Bills. But I want to tie in that same action on this mid-zone run last week versus the Cardinals. The Bills spammed this run several times, including on back-to-back plays in the first half and the second quarter versus the Cardinals. But as the game went on, the Cardinals keyed in on it. We saw Kaiser White, number 7, shoot backside on one and make the stop on Cook. This time it's going to be Budda Baker, who I have arrowed here. The third man in this, again, very similar to what we just saw. We got this trips type bunch over here. We got the jet motion from Mac Hollins, who was the number 1 coming across the formation. We're going to get very similar elements here. Here comes the motion from the number 1. Literally number 1 in this case because it's Curtis Samuel. And watch Budda Baker just react. They'd seen it at several points in this game. So you get the relation from 7, from 34, but then also, again, Budda, who's right back here. Budda's seen this play already multiple times, and he just goes right to where this ball's going. And we started to see this again in the second half against Arizona, seeing it against Miami. I even tweeted out at that point after we saw that stop for Miami that I just showed, as we go back to the Miami tape here, once they made this, I tweeted out, hey, we haven't seen a lot of duo from the Bills. They've been spamming this mid zone look. Wonder if they start to lean into more duo, more tackle, wrap, tackle, long trap type stuff. Now that Miami's kind of sniffed that out a little bit. And so what do we get? Lo and behold, a little while later, we get this James Cook 49-yard touchdown run on a duo concept. Want to show the sideline angle first before we get to the end zone angle, really just to do two things. One, not to pick on him, but I wanted to show the angle Jordan Poyer takes and how James Cook erases it and beats him to the corner and houses it. And then also the displacement that we get on this side of the line. So this is a 6 offensive lineman set. Alec Anderson is the 6th offensive lineman. We know how much the Bills like this kind of stuff based on what they did last year, where David Edwards was that 6th offensive lineman. So just watch the displacement that we see created by the right side of the line, and then the angle Jordan Poyer takes. So we'll start with the line first. Watch the displacement. Boom, blowing that man off the ball. Cook has a nice lane to choose from. And then it's going to be Poyer one-on-one with Cook. And this is where James Cook's speed just makes all the difference in the world. Poyer's angle isn't on point, and Cook has that kind of speed that can beat you in a hurry. And he does his flip into the end zone. Now, let's look at it from the end zone angle and really kind of dive into what duo is. So Cook is looking to take a track right at that play side linebacker, who is David Long, number 11 here. You're looking to put him into that conflict. So duo is gap scheme, aimed to create vertical push, vertical displacement. It's often referenced to as power without a puller. There's always going to be an unblocked guy. Ideally, that unblocked guy is a corner or a nickel. On this play, it's Fuller over here. He is the unblocked guy. But Cook does a good job taking his track right at David Long and putting him into conflict. And what you're going to get here is essentially a triple team against Hand, number 90. So you have Osiris Torrance here, Spencer Brown here, and then Alec Anderson here. And again, notice the track of Cook. He's running it right at David Long. So Long is kind of put into a bind here. In theory, if you could go back in time, maybe Long wants to press here, so he forces Cook back this way, right into Fuller, or it forces Anderson to come off of this triple team and pick up Fuller, and then maybe Cook has to bounce it out or make a cut and cut back inside, and maybe it's not a direct line to the house like Cook takes on this one, but you get an effective block right there at the front. And part of what makes that block effective, notice the bodies that Miami has here. So they're fine in terms of numbers that they have in the box. They've got an 8-man box, but I still think they're playing for that weak side mid-zone run a little bit. When the Bills run that mid-zone run, they run it to that weak side. I showed you the couple reps where they had the motion from the number one, the jet motion from number one coming across the field. But even if they're not bringing that motion, when they run that mid-zone, they run it to this weak side. That's why it's part of a nice pairing with their duo concept. Duo is always run to the tight end side, so they can line up in this alignment, and they can either go duo to the tight end side or they can go mid zone over here to the weak side. Brooks is playing that. So based off of Brooks's alignment, they're actually good on the backside. If there's going to be a mid zone run here, gap out here, Brooks is kind of hanging out. Or even if he goes this way, Sealer goes inside, Brooks can go here, Agba can go outside. Like you're gapped out and responsible if they go mid zone. But because they go duo and they go to that tight end side, they don't have enough bodies out here based on what they have. You've got a really good seal inside from Connor McGovern at center. So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you might think, okay, well, that's fine. You got a body on a body. That's advantage for the offense, because if you have 5 blockers, that means you have 6 gaps. And the fact that Miami only has 5 defenders, that means they can only cover for 5 gaps, even if everything works out perfectly. It doesn't. They get blown off the ball by this triple team. David Long gets put into conflict, guesses wrong, and Cook makes him pay. Also, what's really nice from Cook, watch him just kind of bounce off a contact here and keep pushing upfield like nothing happened. Boop. And just uses it to kind of, okay, let me get north and south and then finish it here. This is almost kind of run like you see in training camp, where you'll see the running backs do duo drills and they're hurdling over the bags, and their running back coach will take the bag at the second level and make it go left or make it go right, and you're cutting off of it. Or there will be another coach with him as well to make you read that initial double team block and then read the play side linebacker based on where he's shooting or where he's jumping. So we get vertical push and displacement at the point of attack. We get a good read from Cook and a good track attacking the play side linebacker, and then we see the long speed to finish off the run, and we get to dive into the end zone for the touchdown. Now, that was the number 2 play. Here is the number 1. This is the running back mesh traffic concept. Joe Brady calls it Slither. This is on a 4th and 3 with 9 minutes, 55 seconds left in the first quarter. This is the opening touchdown for the Buffalo Bills. The reason it's the number 1 play here, situation, it's the opening touchdown, puts the Bills up 7-0. Miami, everybody and their mother talked about it going into this game, and even during the broadcast, the Bills have had the Dolphins number in the Josh Allen era. You go up early in this game, just starts to get the ball rolling a little bit, generates more momentum on your side than you already had to start with, and it's a nice setup. Tua turns the ball over early, you come right down, you answer with the touchdown. So situationally, it's nice. Individually executed well by Josh Allen with what he does, and then schematically, how it's drawn up is really nice. So I'm going to let it play initially, just let you see the motions play out, and then we're going to talk about them, and I want to bring it back to something Josh Allen said after the game last night with how this play turned out, how it developed, and what happened before this play when the Bills called timeout. Let it run there. There's the touchdown. So what we get on this play is we get 2 motion man indicators pre-snap. You get the motion from James Cook, which pulls David Long, helps indicate man. We're going to get the motion from Curtis Samuel. Jalen Ramsey's going to go with him, also helps indicate man. But what's nice on this one, Josh Allen talked about what happened the play before. So the play before, they started to run the exact same play. It ended up being the exact same play. And Allen said, quote, "I messed up the call before the timeout. Fortunately, we called the same play, and they changed really to the defense we were hoping to get." So Allen and Brady specifically wanted man coverage in this situation. They were expecting it, hoping for it. They didn't get it before the timeout. They got it after they called timeout, and it just happened to be because Allen, like he said, messed up the call before the timeout, leading to that timeout. They come out of it. They get the look they wanted. Allen also said they went 0, meaning cover 0. So I gave a little eyes right just to hold some people and knowing that I got the safety off the edge. And then he talked about making the play to James Cook. So let's look at it bit by bit. We're going to send Cook on the fake tear motion. Actually, if you see when Allen sends Cook, Curtis Samuel accidentally goes at the same time. And then it's like, uh-oh, okay, no, let me get back. So David Long, who we had highlighted, he goes in motion with Cook, helping indicate man coverage from the defense. Now we're going to get Curtis Samuel going in motion. Jalen Ramsey is going to go with him, another man coverage indicator. Now, this is where Josh Allen's quote comes in, where he said they went 0. So Miami is showing a cover 0 look, no deep safety at all. And everyone, based on their alignment, is what's indicating that to Josh Allen. So the motion indicates man, and then the alignment from the defense is what's indicating that cover 0 look. So we'll start from this side. Head up, man indicator. You've got Kader Kohou here on Mac Hollins, but if you notice, Hollins is pointing to Kohou, and the reason he's pointing to Kohou is because Javon Holland is over here. Javon Holland is capping Kohou here, which is an indicator that Kohou's going to come on the blitz, and then Holland will be the one to pick up Hollins. Let's move to the other side. We've got David Long on James Cook. We already talked about Ramsey going in motion with Curtis Samuel. And then again, another indicator. Here's Jordan Brooks showing blitz. And then we've got the safety lined up, capping Dawson Knox there. So looks like pressure, looks like cover 0, motion man indicators from Joe Brady, sets Allen up for success. And then the individual execution from Allen, like he talked about, where he said, I gave a little eyes right just to hold some people. Watch him give some eyes right, just to look a little bit. I'm going to go over here. He knows Kohou is coming off the slot. He just turns, floats this thing to Cook, and Cook houses it. What I also think is funny, too, on this play is Cook goes for his flip into the end zone, but isn't able to get it because of Holland. You can see him loading up for it right here. You see he takes that gallop step and goes for the flip, and then Holland chucks him and he doesn't get it. I thought that was funny. But again, really nice design by Brady, giving Josh the answers to the test before the test, setting him up for success. This play is an easy button. There's not a ton of processing or a ton of mutant alien theatrics that Allen needs to do on this play to make it work. All he needs to do is drop back, give some eyes right, and make the play. Also good on Mac Hollins in this man beater, not only pointing out Kohu as the blitzer and Holland capping him, but cleanly getting in Long's way to free up Cook. Seems so easy. And again, this is a nice game starter for you to put you up 7-0 en route to a strong victory in week 2 against the Miami Dolphins. That'll do it for us in this episode of Disguise Coverage. Again, if you folks like this content, 1, I'm glad you liked it, but 2, let me know whether on Twitter or here on the comments on YouTube, if this is something you want to see regularly going forward, if it's something you'd like to see incorporated into the live show every Tuesday or dropped the day after games like we're doing it here on this Friday, September 13th, the day after the Bills played on Thursday night against the Miami Dolphins. Any and all feedback is greatly appreciated. And that'll do it for us here in this episode of Disguise Coverage. Also, apologies to everyone for not doing the live show this past Tuesday leading up to the Bills-Dolphins game. Like I said on Twitter, life came at me fast. Was unable to do it, but I appreciate the kind words that some of you folks threw at me on Twitter. So apologies for not doing the show last week. We'll get back into the regular rhythm this upcoming Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on the way towards the Buffalo Bills' next game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But until then, I hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe to the Cover One channel. Turn on notifications for the Disguise Coverage playlist. Tell your family and friends and loved ones about how awesome this show is and how awesome this episode was. If you thought it was terrible, tell your enemies and try and make them watch it and ruin their day with it. Until I see you next time, Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.